Hi everyone, in today's video we will talk about Power BI reports and my tips how to elevate your reports so they look more professional, and that's why you can charge more if you're working as a freelancer. If you don't know me, I'm Karina, I'm self-taught data analyst and data scientist. I was a co-founder of data science and data analytics consultancy in Australia, and we've done a lot of Power BI reports. It was actually our bread and butter. That's why I think I have some credibility to talk about it. We delivered Power BI reports from very small one-off reports to financial companies up to the whole report suite for property developers, digital banks, and I even did some Power BI reports for law enforcement. I was looking for some articles on the internet. I saw an example of Power BI report, and I know how much work went into creating this report, but there are a couple of things that make this report look unprofessional, and I think if the person makes those little changes, it will just elevate the report, it will take it to another level. So I hope you find this video helpful. I have my laptop here so I can look at the report and discuss it with you. So here's a report, and I assume it was made using Amazon Prime Video data. So the first thing that I personally really don't like, that there are headers for each of the visuals and they are all different. Try to make sure that all the headers are consistent and coherent. I don't know why some of them are bold, some of them are not. We can see that the subscription plan at the bottom has no header at all, and some of them are blue. Keep it simple, keep it all bold or no bold, all black, but keep it consistent. Another thing is of course colors of the report. I know that it can be personal preferences. Usually when you're creating Power BI reports, you're using the brand colors. So when you come to the client or you work for a company, they have a brand pack where they say which colors they use, and you use those codes to keep the whole report consistent. If the company didn't provide you with a color code, you screenshot the logo of the company, you can upload it online and it will tell you the color codes, and then you can use it for your Power BI report. Actually, in the example of report, the smaller the better, so you can keep minimalistic reports. So if you think about big brands, companies like big four companies, KPMG is white and blue, I think Ernst & Young is yellow and gray. All big brands, listed companies, all have board reports, annual reports, investment reports on their website. For example, I went to McDonald's website and here is the investors overview. You can find it, it's available online, and you can see what colors they pick for their visuals. And we know yellow and red are McDonald's colors, but you can see how still minimalistic all their visuals are, how they use tables, what they use for their donut charts, for pie charts, how they use graphs and bar charts. You can all see in their reports. So similarly, you can go to the website. For example, you're working with a property developer, you can find other big property developers, well-known companies, brands, go to their investors overviews, board reports, maybe some marketing materials, and see how they create visuals. It will be a great reference. Very big companies usually have the whole department who are working on those presentations. Use this as a great example and reference to learn how to visualize data in this world-class format. So back to colors. I highly recommend you to keep it very simple. It's better to be neutral than being very colorful. And in my career, I once worked with a guy from India, and all his Excel reports, they were always in an India flag color, so they were always orange, white, and green, which I think is very cute, but not everyone will be so supportive of his patriotism. So just think about your client. Think about who you creating this report for. Also, if you work as a consultant, you gather requirements from the client upfront, so you talk to them, speak about the metrics, what they want to see, how often they want this report to be updated, maybe it's one-off or it's a quarterly, what the purpose of report is. It like a board report or is it for internal team? You need to get the whole picture of how it will be used, metrics, colors, etc. So you will talk about it all upfront. Okay, let's go back to the current report. So at the top we have different filters. When I see this report for the first time, I will give you my honest opinion. It feels like the person really tried hard to show that he knows that Power BI has all different capabilities. And how I can see it? Because he used all type of filters. There is a drop down, a button, there is this tick box, then he has pie chart, he has a card, he has some graph, there is a table. So everything. He wanted to show that Everything is possible with Power BI. Again, usually when you work with a client, you ask what is the best format for them, do you prefer it in this way or another, and all those visuals, they should be very meaningful. Keep it simple. Actually simplify it rather than overcomplicate. It also will make the report work faster. Okay, let's go back to our top part with all the filters. So location, we have drop down. Okay, that's okay. The next one is subscription P. I assume it is subscription plan, but I can't see the whole header. So for that reason, I would highly recommend to rename the header, just put subscription. You need to understand that people you work with, they usually have half a brain. So they can understand the subscription, the annual, monthly. They don't need this P. Also, you can see there is this like a scroller for annual and monthly, but I can see that there are only two options, annual and monthly, but we still have this little like scroller, meaning there is something about size and rendering. So probably person needed to use a smaller font, so then it will fit into little box, but there would be no this annoying scroller. I just don't see the point of this. So my recommendation in this case, change the header, make a bit smaller font. Next one, we have age group. I assume age group. Again, just change the header to age. That's it. Next one, gender, female, male, and we have two massive buttons. Don't understand why for this one we have button, but we don't have like a tick box similar to subscription plan. So this is where usually you talk to your client. If they say we want button, then of course you keep it as a button, but I'm surprised that it's not consistent. Next one, devices used. Okay, great. And favorite genre, also drop down. Great. Then we have these two big buttons on the right. If your client requested, and by client I mean any stakeholder, so it can be internal, if it's people in your team or company, or working as a freelancer, your client, of course, if they requested it, go for it. But I honestly don't understand why we have, filters like drop down buttons but then kind of massive buttons on the right. I don't understand the purpose of it. Next one, we have number of users by location and age group. Obviously you can't read labels properly because it's probably big names, they don't fit in. I understand that once you click on this specific visual, the next page will open where it's all big graph and you can zoom in, zoom out. Maybe the better was just to display top 10 or change it from horizontal to vertical. All the location is y-axis instead of x, so you just swap it around. Have question to age group. I don't know if it was in the original data. We have all senior, teen, young. I'm 36, I believe I'm young. I don't know, it's questionable. Usually age groups are going into age brackets. So for example, everyone before 18 is lumped together, and then you have 18 to 23, or 5 years brackets, so 20 to 25, 25 to 30, or in 10 years brackets. So this again, you need to ask your final stakeholder how it represents those age brackets. Sometimes some company want, for example, everyone before 30 together, then 31, 32, 33, and then everyone 50 plus together. So it is actually important moment to ask how you should group people together for representation. Next graph is number of users by usage frequency engagement metrics. So we have frequent, regular, and occasional, and then medium, high, low. I think it will be very embarrassing, but I need to admit I actually don't know how to read this graph in this specific context. So I assume we have a frequent users, so frequent user and engagement metrics low. What's engagement metric? How many times the person viewed? Is it view hours? Is it days? Is it times? Interaction with movies? Next one, count of user ID by devices used, increase, decrease, total. I like the fact that we have total, and this way we show smartphone, tablets, I like we see what goes into total, because it's not dynamic report, so it will not be changing from day to day. We don't see this increase decrease is good when you're looking at sales or number of new users or something, but in our case we will not have decrease. There is nothing red, it's only green. Maybe like a stacked bar chart in this. Also, we just have 3 data points. Pie chart or donut chart is amazing for that, because we have smartphone, tablet, smart TV, so you show the total pie and then you say this many people used a smartphone. So that's actually a great candidate for pie chart or donut chart. Lovely graph, should be used for something different, not for this specific use. Number of users, 2,500. Absolutely love this card. It's great. Again, when you go to those investor reports, decks by big companies, you'll see they all use something like that, something into your face, big bold number. Also, when it's a dynamic report which changes, it can show at the bottom that increased by this many percent compared to similar period last year. It also shows it increase, decrease. Amazing. Absolutely love. It's a great way to represent data. Now we're going to a pie chart. Number of users by age group. In this case, we have 4 groups, and you can see our pie chart is already more congested compared to if we used devices in this case. So we have 4 groups. Our teens is very little slice. It's hard to see. For pie charts, you probably should keep it where it's 3. 2 is amazing. So that's why we have female, male genders, this data set. So pie charts would be great to show how many female and male users. Or if you have a lot of data points, avoid of using pie chart. They are ugly when they are congested. And that's why a lot of people in the data world hate pie charts. I don't have such strong negative opinion about them, but just make sure you don't have a lot of data points. The next visual is a table, and it doesn't have a title. So I don't know why it doesn't have a title. I assume it is payment method. So like you see Visa, MasterCard based on a subscription plan, and you see a subscription plan name. So it actually had 3 words that didn't fit into filter. Just call it subscription. So many words. Okay, so we have annual and all okay. I personally don't like that it has these colorful rows and they don't align. So for example, auto renew in annual is pink, but auto renew in monthly is yellow. So I would be visually, if I wanted to add colors, I would want to quickly know that, okay, all pink are manual, all yellow are auto renew, but because in one grouping it's one color, so it doesn't make it more readable or more convenient. Next visual, count of user ID by favorite genre. We can see that not all the names fit into x-axis. Maybe you have to rename some of them, just shorten to make sure that they are more readable. Or again, transpose it, so you have favorite genres as y and the count of user ID as x. One thing that I also need to mention, when you talk to a customer, a final user of the report, ask how they will access the report. What I mean, if they will look at the numbers on their tablet, phone, or desktop, and it makes a huge difference. Because I worked with a company, and one of the stakeholders, he wanted to view all the reports on his phone as the first thing in the morning. Some of the men have bigger fingers than a female. I don't want to generalize, but that was the case with that specific man. So when you create those filters, drop downs, they didn't work for him. First of all the reports, all the titles, fonts needed to be much bigger because the person wants to review it on his phone. Some of the things don't render properly, and that's again, if you find out that your customers use reports on their phone, you need to change a lot of visuals and test all of them to make sure they render and show properly on that device. All the drop downs needed to be changed. Person didn't want any tick boxes, so we actually had to use a lot of buttons like this female, male. Person looks at the report on his little phone, and in that case those cards where it's like number of users, big number, they work perfectly. Similarly, pie charts, table is hard on a phone, but then a line graph works perfectly. So ask your users how they will access the reports. And the last thing about this report, what I personally don't like, nowhere we've seen what dates are used in this report. So I understand that it's static, it's not dynamic, so it will not be report daily, but usually in the reports you have a filter indicating dates, so from to, and even if report will not be updated, if it's just a snapshot, you still need to indicate it at least in a title to the report or at the bottom with a little asterisk which dates were used. For example, all the data from 2000 up to 2023. So usually reports, they have dates and filters, and that's very important. So please make sure you included that. And just by Googling, I found another report created clearly based on the same data set, and I want to show you how different they look. So you can see in this case, the person kept all these brand colors. So he tried to keep the same colors as the logo of this Prime Video, and you can see how consistent, coherent this report looks. I love the fact that all the visuals have headers and they look the same. Absolutely love it. My probably only concern that we have this big logo in the middle, which takes a lot of real estate, but it works in this example. It's one-off report. It's not that the company will be updating it, so it works. Usually you keep logo in a corner just because it's occupies real estate and unusable, but it's important. But you can see the difference between two reports, and that was the whole purpose of this video. I know how much it takes to create a Power Report, how much of data cleaning and processing and all the ETLs, joining those tables, merging, creating extra columns, changing, etc. Then you visualize it for so long, and this little extra step will take your report to the next level where you look more professional, you look more experienced, and moreover, you can charge more if you're a freelancer because it looks way more expensive. So just do this extra step. I know that sometimes we just like, oh, I just want to put it together 5 tables and leave me alone. But it's your face, it's your work. Show people that you can. It's not that hard. It's not about the hard work. It's actually just these last things about colors and bold name versus not bold and colors of the headers and titles. That's the last little step where you spend extra 2 hours, but it takes everything to the next level. I hope you found it useful and see you next time.